it's Daryl, Judy with Washington Fine Properties, and another episode of Casa de Amigos with another friend of mine, Victoria, who is the head, she's the brainiac, she is the mothering force behind this amazing, incredible organization called Transformer. Victoria is the creator, she's the genesis of Transformer, she's the connector, she's what makes Transformer live, breathe, and bring all the artists together. And I wanted to feature Transformer and my friend Victoria. So Victoria, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for asking me to do this, Daryl.
So explain for people who don't know what Transformer is. What is it and how did it start and what was your inspiration?
Sure. So Transformer is a nonprofit visual arts organization. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. And our mission is to connect, elevate, and serve emerging visual artists. And we do that through multiple exhibition platforms, independently, through global partnerships, out of this project space where we are and where we've been headquartered for 20 years, 1404 P Street Northwest, and then in collaboration with all kinds of different cultural institutions, museums, universities, throughout DC, nationally and internationally, to really propel conversation about new and best practices within contemporary visual art. So yeah.
So you created it. What inspired you? Like what about DC said this is the place this should be? This is their need for it.
Yeah. Well, I moved to DC like many people do in their early 20s as interns, and I had an incredible internship working for the National Association of Artists Organizations. That was a membership organization for small to medium-sized artist-run spaces like Transformer all over the country, and got this incredible education in the field, learning about these organizations that were very community centered in supporting artists in their communities, or creating opportunities for artists in their communities to connect with artists in other communities, and was just so inspired by the work that I was seeing, really innovative work, real risk-taking work. And while there, of course, we have these incredible Smithsonian museums here in Washington, and there has been on and off a strong commercial gallery presence in DC, and there are some nonprofits that exist to support contemporary artists. There was nothing that was specifically for emerging artists who were right outside of art school or right outside of college, artists who maybe had been working in the field but were interested in working in a new medium or a new discipline, or an artist based elsewhere that hadn't had an opportunity to exhibit work in Washington. So just felt it was so vital and needed to create a platform that would be a consistent platform for emerging artists to experiment with their work, for DC artists, and also for DC artists to be in conversation with their peers nationally and internationally, to really elevate DC's cultural landscape. So, and selfishly, just had so many friends who are artists, young artists, who just didn't have venues or platforms here, and were moving, thinking, oh, I need to be in this city or this city to be able to amp up my career, and was really inspired heavily by the DIY music scene in DC, incredibly supportive community of musicians, and who just did it. Like, okay, we need a venue, let's create a venue. We want to start a band, let's start a band, let's just do it. I did have professional background in the arts, but it really was like, okay, let's do this. DC has changed. It's really wild to see how many people are in Washington now and the tremendous growth of the city. So many new developments, even just within the span of a year. I feel like there are so many new buildings that have opened up, condos everywhere. And that's a lot of young people living in the city. City, it's jobs, DC now is like tech. That's a huge tech industry. And all these homes, people, one, I think want art to fill their homes, but two, also are seeking to connect with community and to connect with community maybe outside of their day jobs and have an interest in the art or in arts or interest in culture and are just curious to connect with new people. And Transformer is a conduit in that way, where we connect artists to so many different people and audiences. So I think that we have really created a home for artists with Transformer.
I would say from my own personal experience is that 20 years ago or so, I was starting with a house, right? And I really couldn't afford art. And Transformer is one of the organizations that was able to actually start filling my house with pieces. And
love that.
Right? And it's true. It's originals. People now that have some of their art and they're better known today than they were a bit ago.
Absolutely.
You're helping their career grow. And it's like a drug. You take one little thing and you take one more, and next thing you know, you're collecting art that's special.
Right. It doesn't have to be a daunting pursuit. It doesn't have to be crazy expensive. I mean, sure, if you have the budget and you can really, go big and be going after highly coveted or sought after artists and artworks, fabulous. But there are so many incredible artists who don't necessarily get the exposure that artists who are well established in their careers, who are working with blue chip commercial galleries, who are presented at major art fairs, but are still doing incredible work. And as you said, they're the artists who are the ones to watch, the ones to collect now, because they are on a trajectory to be those artists. We are an educational organization, so we're really trying to push super innovative work, and a lot of that is conceptual, performance art, installation, video, where it's like, well, this isn't monetized in the same way. And we receive grants and donations to be able to provide artists honoraria to create their work. But in tandem with that, it's important for artists to sell work and for artists to have that kind of income. So we have created a flat file program that is, at any given time, we probably have about 400 works in this evolving collection by about 40 to 50 different artists, majority DC artists, but also artists based nationally, internationally. All the works are works on paper, so photography, prints, paintings, collage, mixed media. And the works are smaller in size, 16 by 20 inches and smaller. All the works are priced at 500 or less, and a really incredible range of works ranging, $25 to $500. So there are gems in this flat file program. Works, it's all online. We have a web store.
If they want to find it?
You can find it online on our website, transformerdc.org, and you can shop online. We have the physical flat file here at Transformer. People can come in and look at the works in person. But it is a great way for an emerging collector to start collecting work. We also do, for many years, an annual auction, benefit auction, gala, where It's both a sale for the participating artists and a sale for Transformer, and that is a mix of much larger works, mid-career, more established artists, and emerging artists who are really including their work both to support Transformer, support their peer artists, and to celebrate Transformer and the DC arts community. And we are, as I mentioned, celebrating our 20th anniversary. This fall, we are back to having a gala benefit auction event. It's actually a retrospective exhibition with a benefit auction component. We have 100 artists who are alumni of our exhibition programs that will be presenting work in this November 10th at the Corcoran, the GW University Corcoran School of Art flag building right around the corner from the White House.
I have to say, like, here's an honest thing. I came for the party and stayed for the art.
Yeah, of course. We throw good parties.
Right.
We throw
so
really
it's
good
like
parties.
it's all about the party, and you come to the party, and I have some of my best friends through this organization, right? And so you've created something that's enriched the community, enriched people's homes, and built relationships, right? So I think it's very, very special. If you had to tell someone they're starting out and they don't really know art, they don't have a degree in it, they're not really sure, what would your advice to be? Someone, they're going to buy a piece for their home and they're going to try maybe one piece a year, one piece every 6 months. How would you kind of advise someone who doesn't really know anything?
I mean, I think art is so subjective, and it's really what speaks to you. I mean, of course, there are always all different kinds of ways of approaching collecting. There are people who are really collecting as a financial investment.
Right.
There are people who are collecting to build a base of work that's speaking to each other thematically, or based on composition, or so many different factors there. But I mean, the everyday person who also wants to have art in their lives, I say really what it speaks to you. What do you look at and you keep thinking about it and you keep having questions? And when you look at a piece, you see something else, something that you want to live with that is maybe both comfortable but also challenging, where it gives you, it could be something that gives you comfort, it could be something that marks a moment in time. So I mean, it really is so subjective, and I think just go with your gut, go with what is exciting to you. And but then there are also so many professionals in the field. There are art consultants, there are art advisors who, there are organizations like Transformer where it's like, hey, come in, look at the flat files with us, ask questions about the artists. Are you curious about this artist's background? Sometimes it's the artist's story that really can make someone connect to an artwork.
Right. No, I would echo that. I think it's so important too, because when I buy something, I don't know how much it costs in terms of, well, I do know how much it costs, but sometimes I don't if I drink too much at the auction. I don't know how much it costs.
That's our goal.
That's true. You need to make sure there's tequila.
More
champagne.
More champagne.
Tequila is what we need. But I don't buy it thinking if I buy this for $100, I'm going to get $500 in 10 years from now. Like, that's not why. I buy it because there's something that evokes something in it for me.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it. And I have had friends, I haven't paid anybody, I have friends who are also art consultants who also give me information, or I'll ask you and you'll be able to say, oh, this has got a great history, and this is where they're going, or this is what's happening. So you can ask for help. And then the other thing I've learned from my own perspective is when I buy something, I never know where I'm going to put it. Like, I never buy something, I'm like, I have this over my deck room space. I buy a piece of art because I fall in love with it for some reason, whatever the reason is, and sometimes it just sits for a while.
I have a lot of art like that, where I'm just like, I love it. It's speaking to me. It could, be color composition. It could be like sense memory. You look at a piece and it reminds you of some moment in time or some experience you had, or and I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go, but I love it and I know I have to have it. Some days, just tough days, and you go home and I mean, it's home, so it's your safe space, right? It's your haven, but sitting and you maybe look at a piece of artwork that's been in your home and you see something different about it, or it's like, oh, I've just been able to change my perspective. I think that's a really magical, special thing that not that only art can do, but art can really do in such a meaningful way for people.
Right. No, it's interesting because I have this weekend, for example, I had people in my home for a dinner party, and people who'd never been to that home before. It's something I bought and I've been redoing. And they're like, oh my God, it's so comfortable. It means it's so warm and it means so much. And to me, it's not because I have this sofa or it's not because I have this wall color. For me, it's about the things that I put in it that are me, that evoke a feeling.
Yeah, right? And a reflection of you and your personal aesthetic. I mean, it's like what you choose to wear for the day, how it makes you feel. But this is in a whole other level what you are surrounding yourself with. And I think it's really fascinating how people can have very clean, very austere white space, and then artworks that reflect a kind of very quiet moment. There's an area collector who did a collector's view for us, which is a really incredible program that we do.
Yeah, one thing that I think too, I think it's like an interior designer. What I mean by that is, you have hundreds of people you've worked with here, right? Hundreds of artists, right?
Yeah.
And so the one thing about Transformer that I think is exciting, when I go to an event or I go to an opening, or if there's a home gallery that I'm attending, I am not going to find the vision of that one person who's in charge of Transformer. I'm going to have so many different people with so many voices,
right,
that I'm not stuck. Because I think sometimes, I'm not saying this with everybody, so don't come at me, but some interior designers, they have an aesthetic and everything they do is like, oh, that looks like, or that looks like, and that's not true of Transformer. It's not, there's so many different things. Some things I just don't care for, and some things I can't get enough of.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a gift that you've given the community.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's really a gift that the artists are giving the community. We are a platform for artists to be able to experiment with their artwork, with their ideas, and it's our mission to be able to really connect and promote a diversity of emerging artists. That said, we're really focused on artists who are interested in pursuing a rigorous art practice, who are interested in pursuing an art career, and who are maybe at the beginning of that journey.
Right. I wanted to interview you because you're a friend, and I love the fact that it's a woman really powerfully run organization, and there's lots of men and women underneath you, but I think that's amazing that it was your vision. I also think that you brought some to the community, and also I think it ties so directly into home and what home is. So I just came back from a walkthrough of clients moving from London who are buying this big, massive house, and I just think, oh my God, how are they going to fill this space? And I think an organization like Transformer DC can do so much.
Invite them to the gala on November 10th. You've got incredible artworks.
I have had clients who have invited, I can't invite everybody because it's like I'm not buying Ren's ticket, but I have invited over the years.
They can buy tickets, it's not too expensive, and it's a tax-deductible donation.
But that's what happens. Like, I've introduced people, and now I see them every event, because it is, listen, I love DC, and I love seeing my friends, and I like a cocktail, but I'm really over it for the most part, right? And the one thing for me during, oops, I hit my mic. The one thing during COVID is I was so happy to not have that. Transformer was one exception, where I was there, pictures of me and Mary Mason, right before we fought over a piece of artwork, and I might have won, which hangs proudly over my fireplace. But this is an event that I missed. And so I would everyone to come to Transformer, go into the website, transformerdc.org, and follow along, look at the flat files and see, come to the events, donate. You can be part of the small home series.
The Collector's View series in the spring. Yeah.
Right. Fun. You get into some amazing homes and people show you they're private. Some of it may not be that pricey, but it's really beautiful, and some of it is extremely like they bought it from London, right?
So we have all different kinds of collectors that have participated in that series, from really major collectors who have donated extensive work to the National Gallery, to the Hirshhorn, to the Phillips, and then more emerging collectors who are really starting out on and how they're building collections for their homes. All really fascinating. I mean, it's always fun to go into someone's home and see, like, how do they live? What do they choose to surround themselves with? And I think it gives you a little insight on that person too, and how their brain works, which is always fascinating.
For sure. Now, there's one I won't mention. There's one I will never forget. I was like, oh my God. And I know the piece of work that this person had is worth millions, but I couldn't believe, like, I was like, what does this say about them? So it's very interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really wild. Some of the collectors that we've worked with, that their homes are almost like museums.
Total.
I mean, just, and I think that is fascinating. And then homes where it's also really high level art, but space feels more cozy, more comfy. But I guess that's also how people define home.
So we're getting to the 20th year.
We are in our 20th year.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you look at what's like the one or two things that you're most proud of that sometimes take your breath away when you think, oh, of this or that?
There's more than one. There's several. And working to curate this retrospective exhibition that's going to be opening up at the Corcoran November 10th, and also a book that we're working on that will come out this spring. Working on that with incredible Transformer staff team has just been really kind of mind-blowing. I mean, so many projects that I forgot that we did, and it's like, oh wow, we went to the countries of the former Yugoslavia and met all of these fascinating artists who we then brought to Washington and did a collaboration with DCAC in 2003 called Super, and we brought DC artists to Beijing and Rome and Paris to meet their peers in these other sister cities, and then created relationships with peer arts organizations there to bring international artists to Washington, and the collaborations with embassies who have been such great partners to us. But, I really can't name one. I mean, there isn't even one from each year that I could say, oh, I'm the most proud of that. There are so many. I will say the very first exhibition that we had, this incredible artist collective called My Barbarian, who are based out of Los Angeles. We presented them in two different projects. One was a full exhibition here in 2012, and just recently, this past February, they had their own 20th anniversary retrospective at the Whitney Museum, which is, that's pretty exciting. Marcus Quillen Nazario, who's a now Bustamante, Los Angeles-based artist as well, who we had the opportunity to present in different exhibitions over the years. Now was just featured at the Park Armory in New York. So, I wouldn't necessarily take ownership like, oh, we made them. No, not by any means. But to know that we have been part of their growth and their trajectory, and to see the success that they've had is, feels great.
Right.
And that there are so many artists that we're continuing to learn about and create opportunities for, including Artise Fletcher, who's a DC artist. You're seeing her work around us right now. This is her first solo exhibition, and I'm so excited to see, where she will continue on with her work. So yeah, they're all exciting. for me.
Yeah, so I would say if you're interested in art or you're interested in finding out about Transformer, you should definitely go to transformerdc.org, right? You should just come for the party at least. Buy a ticket. It's very affordable.
Yes,
right?
November 10th.
It is November 10th at the Corcoran, which is owned by George Washington.
George Washington University,
Right.
Corcoran School of the Arts and Design. Yep.
Right. So that is super fun, and you might find some art, but you're going to meet some great people.
Yes.
If you are not sure what you're doing, you're starting out, go to the Flat Files
Yes,
online.
absolutely. On our Flat File store on our website. Yep.
Right. And help each other with emerging artists. And by this, you're going to get a part of the community. You're going to learn other people who are art collectors, or at least they're interested, or they like to have a good time. Great community people. You've created something really lovely and beautiful.
Thank you. It's really
And
kind of you.
It's true. It's very true. And also, a home is four walls, and what you put in it and who you fill it with are what make it a home and not just a residence, right? And so, thank you for giving me that gift, because it's meant a lot to me. And I want other people to be able to have the same joy I've had and get to know Victoria, get to know Transformer. They have an amazing board. There's fun people. It's really a great organization.
Thank you, Daryl. Future Collector's View.
We're going to have to go to Virginia for that one, but sure. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. Transformerdc.org. Victoria, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.